Welcome to this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. And as usual, what we'll do is a series of short practices. These are all on my YouTube channel, Dr. Joe Parent, and you can find them and you can practice these on your own simply by playing however much of the instruction you want, hitting pause, and then doing the practice. We're only going to be doing a few minutes of each. You can do it in a more extended way. And we'll work with posture. We do this practice in a sitting posture. Traditionally, if you are lying down, it seems that people tend to fall asleep. If you're standing up, you tend to want to move and go somewhere. So sitting is neutral. It's like when you take your car to the mechanic and it puts it on a jack so that it can run but not go anywhere. Excuse me. So we'll be doing in the basis of that sitting posture, then we'll kind of get into our bodies, because we tend to spend a lot of time caught up in our thoughts, dropping into our body awareness and settling and centering ourselves. Then mindfulness of the space that we're sitting in, and then a bigger mindfulness of environment and our perceptions into awareness that includes mindfulness. When we've completed that, at the end, we're going to do some compassion practice, because on this planet that we all live, we're interdependent. No person is an island. So, as we go through these sequence of practices, part of them will have our eyes open, and it's helpful not to be looking directly into your screen, but to have the space to look at your environment. And so you'll probably want to turn your device or your seat so that you're not looking directly into the screen, the way I have it set up. But to begin with, we'll take our posture, and you can do this with your eyes open or closed. And then we'll close our eyes to get a little more settled and centered in our body. So wherever you're sitting, feel your sit bones pressing into the seat. If it's a cushion on the floor or on a chair, feel them pressing in, and try to balance so that you're not pressing one more than your weight is not more on one than the other. So you have that balance. And then your legs are part of your base in a certain way. So if you're sitting on a cushion, your legs will be, you'll cross your legs, kind of Native American style. And if you're sitting on a chair, you can have your feet flat on the floor, so that your lower legs are perpendicular to the floor, feet about shoulder, hip width apart. But if your legs are long and or your seat is low, and your knees are higher than your hips, you're going to want to adjust that. And it's the simplest is just to move your feet towards each other and then cross at the ankles, and then let your knees open up so that they end up a little bit lower than your hips. It'll take the strain off your lower back and legs, and easier to have an upright posture. And that leads to the uprightness of the posture. You want to feel like from your tailbone to the back of the top of your head is a straight line, upright but not rigid. And you can check if you're centered. You can't feel what centered feels like. But you can feel what tilted to one side or the other is, or forward or back. So when you're not tilted to one side or the other, when you're not forward or back, you're centered. Your arms, again, your upper arms hang straight down from your shoulders. perpendicular to the floor. Leave your elbows where they are and swivel your hands up, palm down on your thighs, so that your forearms run along your thighs and you're not stretched out forward or pulled back. Now, one aspect of working with your torso is to take this center point, the center of your breastbone or sternum, and feel like it's moving just slightly, just a quarter of an inch, a few centimeters, up and forward. When you do that, just that movement, slightly up and forward of your sternum, everything else moves into place. Your chest opens up, so your breathing is more open. Your shoulders move back a little bit naturally, so they're in line with your ears. You might even feel your shoulder blades behind you pinching a little bit. And if you maintain the straightness of the back of your head, when you raise your sternum, your chin will be tucked in a little bit, which is ideal. If your head is tilted forward, you tend to get drowsy. If your chin floats up, you tend to get spaced out. You'll notice a lot of people, their chin's extending forward. It's as if we're ready to go somewhere, or we're on our way somewhere. So if our chin is tucked in just a slight bit, then we're just here. Your jaw is relaxed, but not hanging wide open. We breathe mainly through our nostrils. Try to only breathe in through your nostrils if you can. When you breathe out, mainly through your nostrils. If a little comes out your mouth, that's okay. So your lips can be just slightly parted or very lightly touching, whichever is more comfortable. And your tongue can just rest naturally, or there's a position that's taught traditionally of letting the tip of your tongue float up and rest against your upper palate just behind your front teeth very lightly. And that's said to reduce the flow of saliva. Now people wonder, well, what about saliva? It's fine. If you need to swallow at some point, just swallow. This isn't rigid. It's not boot camp. If you feel an ache or pain and you need to move, just move and readjust your posture. But be aware that we get antsy and there's a tendency to think that we need to move. So only if you really need to move and it's very distracting, then go ahead and move and readjust and take a fresh start. We want to be sitting up and not leaning back, but if you have a physical issue and you need to lean back against a chair, try to slide your butt back against the back so that you are as upright as possible. So there's our posture. And if you haven't already, you can let your eyes gently close. And just be aware and check out your posture. And while you're doing that, really inhabit your body. Feel your feet. Feel your calves, your thighs. How your forearms are resting along your thighs, your hands. Your sit bones, your core. Uprightness of your posture. Your chest and sternum raised a tiny bit. Be aware of the three-dimensionality of your body. Front to back as well as side to side. We so much think of ourselves as our front, what we can see in a mirror. There's depth behind that. Notice how your head and neck, your head is resting on your neck and on your shoulders. It's all connected. It's our skeleton, then the muscles and tendons and ligaments. On top of that, our skin on top of that. That's our body. Let the body breathe itself. We'll work with the breath, but it's important to be an observer rather than a director. So feel the depth of your body as the breath comes in and goes out. Let your jaw and neck and shoulders soften. Let any tension that you don't need to hold the posture flow down and out of you. Same thing for your deep belly and pelvic region. Those are two areas where we tend to clench and not realize it. Without losing your posture, let all of that soften. And let your mind rest deep in the core of your torso. A couple of inches below the navel, just in front of your spine. Feel the depth front to back of your torso as well as side to side. When your mind rests there, it's quiet down there. There's gentle movement as the body breathes itself. Feel the rhythm of that movement, again as an observer. You can think of it as the same way the ocean moves on a quiet day. The water gently running up the beach and then pulling back down into the ocean. The breath fills you and then empties back out. The breath is coming in from the ocean of air around you, filling and going back out and mixing back into the ocean. Gently let your eyes open about halfway. So that the mindfulness of that feeling of filling and emptying is included in awareness of the space that your body's sitting in. Rather than focusing your eyes on a particular spot, let them look downward in that direction under your eyelids, just a couple of feet in front of you, and then soften your gaze. It's as if you're looking at the space your body's sitting in rather than whatever you're seeing at the end of your field of vision. You might hear sounds from around you. Just let them appear and disappear. Thoughts will come into your mind. If you're focused on the breathing, they're more of a background. They come and go. If the thoughts take your attention and your mind follows them, then it's left your deep core and it's off someplace else, into a daydream. That will happen, but we maintain our sense of humor, and when we realize it, we're already back. And when you realize it, just smile, acknowledge that your mind wandered, and reconnect with your posture. That feeling in your deep core of filling and emptying. And awareness of the space that you're sitting in. And we'll do that for a few minutes. If you've gotten drowsy and your eyes have closed, you may feel your posture is slumped. Just let your eyes open naturally. Reinvigorate your posture. And tune in to how the breath comes in your nostrils, then the feeling of filling, emptying and out your nostrils. The air is cool and dry coming in, warm and moist going out. If your mind has been very preoccupied with thoughts with barely a breath in between, leave your gaze low and pay attention to as much detail as you can in your deep core. Feeling of starting to fill, filling, full, and that moment of gap or transition of starting to empty and emptying all the way. Starting to fill and filling all the way. Notice as much detail as you can. And we'll do either of those for the next couple of minutes. Now relax, move a little bit, refresh yourself, refresh your posture. And now we'll move into awareness practice of the environment. So again, you may need to adjust your screen or device even more so that you can look out to the space around you that you're sitting in and beyond. So again, take that same posture. Let your eyes be open naturally and let your gaze rest naturally in the direction, which will be slightly below horizontal. And soften that gaze Open up your peripheral vision, side to side, above and below. Opening out, aware of the space you're sitting in, all around you. So we're shifting the main focus of our attention from internal to external. We work with the breath still, but the out breath coming out of our nostrils, going out into the atmosphere. And the actual breath goes out, mixes with the air in the room, and diffuses until it becomes part of the atmosphere. In the same way, let your awareness, your mind, rather than focusing on this, on yourself, open up, kind of ride the breath out. As the breath goes out, open your awareness to the full environment. The colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark coming into your eyes, the sounds coming into your ears. Out, open, and rest in that spaciousness. It's a spaciousness of being with things as they are, not needing them to be a particular way. If you have sensations in your body, let them be as they are. Again, if it's a sharp pain or something very distracting, go ahead and move and reset your posture. But otherwise, just notice what's going on. Out, open, spacious awareness. Each breath goes out, opens, and connects you with that spacious awareness. The body breathes in by itself. That's included in your awareness, but not a particular focus of your attention. Out, open, spaciousness. And at a certain point, if you're resting in that spaciousness, you won't feel a need to start again with the out breath going out. Just rest in that and let the body breathe itself in and out. All included in your spacious awareness. And again, your mind may be caught up in thoughts. That's the other thing that's included in your awareness, thoughts coming and going. Let them come and go like birds flying across the sky, or clouds floating across the sky, or bubbles popping up, whatever it feels like is happening. Let them come and go. But if they take your attention and take you away, at a certain point you'll realize it and the daydream will pop. Posture, out, breath, open spaciousness. We'll do that for a few minutes. Now, for our contemplation of compassion, stay connected as best you can with that open awareness. Within it, contemplate how we all share the same planet, all living beings, the earth or the water, all under the same sky, all within the same atmosphere. And that we all share the desire to be free from suffering, and the desire to have well-being, contentment, peace, and happiness. Traditionally, we think of someone close to us, a loved one, that we're very familiar with what makes them feel suffering, what makes them happy. Bring such a person or a pet to mind. And tune into whatever they're feeling of suffering, whatever they're going through, whatever causes them pain. As much empathy as you can, what it really feels like. Whether it's fear, anxiety, physical pain. And feel in your heart what it feels like to really wish that they could be free of that. Tune into the feeling, not just the thought. And wish they could be free of that suffering, mental or physical. Now think of what brings them happiness, comfort, contentment, peace of mind. Rouse that empathy and feel that with them as much as you can, how they're feeling. And then feel in your heart what it feels like to wish them that they could have so much more of that happiness, so much more of that feeling of well-being. It feels a certain way to wish that for them, to wish them to be free from suffering, to wish them to have happiness. Alternate these with your breathing. As you breathe in, rouse that wish that they could be free from suffering. As you breathe out, rouse that wish that they could have happiness. Taking the suffering away, filling them with happiness. And now contemplate that there are so many beings on this planet going through all kinds of suffering, physical and mental. And all of those beings long to be free of that suffering and to have happiness, well-being, peace of mind, freedom from fear, safety. And as best you can, again, alternating with your breath, imagine that as you breathe in, rouse that feeling, I wish I could free all the beings in the world of their suffering. Breathe out, I wish I could send all of them and fill them with well-being and happiness. Now remember to include yourself as one of those beings. That may we all, ourselves included, be free of our mental and physical suffering. May we all feel mental and physical well-being. And finally, we rouse the wish that all beings, including ourselves, be free from the causes of suffering. And that we have the causes of happiness. And deep down, the causes of suffering are the poisonous emotions that cause people to harm themselves and others. Greed, lust for power, hatred, intolerance. Jealousy, anger. That as we breathe in, we can take that all beings are freed of that, like poison being, the snake bite being sucked out. Breathe out and send to all beings, fill all beings with love and compassion, tolerance, kindness and generosity, acceptance. And the deepest of all, free all beings from their ignorance and fill them all with wisdom. And lastly, set the aspiration that when we finish the practice, that we'll continue to be as mindful and kind as we can be, and maintain the intention that whatever we do is to wish that all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering, that all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Let go of the contemplation and let's return for a few breaths to our body. Lower your gaze, feel your posture, settle into the present moment. Feeling your body breathing here and now. And that concludes this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice.